to this meeting. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. We will move right on into our citizens communication time. At this time, I've been presented with 2 cards. I'll take those in order that they were given to me, and the first will be Mr. Joe Denman. Yes, sir.
I was wanting to talk on an agenda item.
You can address that here in citizens communication time. And then prior to, if there is a vote on that particular agenda item tonight, there will be an opportunity for the public to speak prior to the vote.
Good evening, Mayor Brown, members of the board. My name is Joe Denman, and standing alongside me is Bertha Dunn. We are coming to you at this time, and first of all, let me say thank you for your service to this community. I know it is a tireless job. I know the pay is not very good, but I want to say thank you, and I want to at the same time ask you for your support with this agenda item that's coming later. Bertha Dunn and I stand at this time, and we stand with most of the people in the audience from Park Avenue Baptist Church and from the community. And we stand in support of a resolution that we are putting forth before you to go before the Arkansas Highway Department. And that is the naming of the Texarkana Viaduct, the Reverend Lundale Williams Overpass. And for those who don't know who Lundale Williams, Reverend Lundale Williams was, I can give you a little bit of history behind him. He is a man that sit on this board for almost 4 decades, almost 40 years. And in the meantime, in between time, he served as mayor of this great city. One of the few during the time of the mid-90s that was elected a mayor in the state of Arkansas. And so we stand at this time to recognize and honor his legacy as a steward of this community, as a pillar of this community. And we are not coming to you asking you for anything that hasn't been done in the city of Texarkana, Arkansas before. As you can see, the city has named several facilities after stalwart members of this community. There was one more that I had here, if I can find it. Yes, Bobby Ferguson Park. And so we're not asking for anything that hasn't been done before in the city of Texarkana. And so we stand at this time, and there are others who would like to speak as well, to recognize an individual who played a very important and significant part of the history of Texarkana, Arkansas. And that's basically what we're looking at here. We're looking at history, and we want to recognize that. And so I ask for your support. I thank you, And if Ms. Dunn would like to say anything, I'd turn it over to her now.
Good evening, Mayor Brown, the board, and I would like to also thank you for what you do. I know it's not always easy, but you got to do what you got to do. Now, we are here in support of renaming the viaduct, which is on 71 South, in honor of the late Reverend William. He did so much for the community, but it didn't just start with him. His family, his father, 43 years of working with the community in basically the same area. He worked with the city. He pastored at the church, his church, Park Avenue Baptist Church, for 43 years. He got ill, his son, the late Reverend Londell Williams, came down to pick up the torch, and he carried it. He did so much for the city that a lot of our younger people don't even realize it. They don't have a clue. So we're looking at renaming this structure in honor of what he did for the community. So maybe one day we can get a handle on our young peoples, and they too can say, if he can do it, I can do it. Amen. We don't want Texarkana, Arkansas to be like what we see on TV and this, that, and the other. We got to give our younger peoples something to look forward to.
Amen.
So, and that the city will stand by you if you make the right choices and do the right thing.
Amen.
This is history.
Amen.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you all very
Yes,
much.
sir. Thank you. Mr. Keaton?
I say good evening to everyone. First, I thank my God for allowing me to be here today, because it's not because I've been so good, and it's not because I've been so bad. And I just thank God that He's given me the opportunity to come and speak to you gentlemen today, and it's a pleasure. First, I want to say to the most honorable mayor, city council, city manager, I come to you today requesting that you all rename the Arkansas Viaduct Bridge to commemorate an individual I always held in high esteem. That's Reverend Londell Williams. Not only as a friend, but a friend to all who knew him. He was a leader in his community, as well as in this great city of Texarkana, Arkansas. He was a pastor, a negotiator for the underprivileged or underserved residents of this community. He was a father figure to the fatherless and a beacon of light in dark places for some of his residents. He wasn't a saint, no, but he was one of God's chosen people.
Amen.
I'm asking the city council to move forward and recommending this bridge to be named in honor of the Reverend Londell Williams, a man who dedicated almost 40 years just in the city government, and many years of his life in the city as a community leader and a pastor and a friend to many. I knew Reverend Williams personally for many, many years, his father, as foretold. I don't want to be redundant, but I want to say that for a large price that he paid, we just only asking for a little bit of something, just in recognition of his character, the things that he did for this city, and to let young people know, as I said before, that there were great black men. And I hate to say that because there are not that many that's being acknowledged today. And maybe because that They've never asked. Because most good people, they don't ask to be acknowledged. And this is why we're here today. I want to thank you. May God bless all of you for the decision that you make. I know it's not the easiest. And lastly, I'll say this. I live in Texas, but I'm from here, Arkansas. I cut my teeth here. I went to school here. I grew up here. I even own property here in the city. But I came back because of the cause. Brother Harris know me, and a lot of you guys may know her. And I'm standing here, I'm putting my name out there. I'm putting my name out there. Please, if you will, consider making that choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. Reverend Reed, Kenneth Reed.
Mayor Brown, the board, will say good evening to you. I am standing with the same recommendation for Reverend Londell Williams, the bridge to be named after him, Viaduct. Let me tell you why. When you remember about Reverend Londell Williams, you remember all the great things that he's done for our community. There are a whole lot of things he's done. Infrastructure's put in our city, different things with our school boards, education, commerce, you name it, he did it. But one thing I loved about him, he was a fighter. He fought in here and he fought in the community. If you want to get him fired up, talk about a cause. If he believed in it, he was going to fight till it happened. And so we talk about remembering. I remember him being a fighter. But this is where we are now. Let's talk about respect. Do we really respect what he done? And one of the things is, it's not so much what we do now, it's what we leave behind. He's done such a great work, and there are so many things he could do. But today, I want to respect what he's done. He's like a father figure to me because my daddy left him in charge of us when he left. Oh boy. Challenging. I pastored the Mount Grove Baptist Church, and he's been a father figure for me. I'm a graduate of Arkansas High. I live on Texas side now, but I pastor one of the greatest churches this side of heaven, right over here. And we believe in this. We believe in this because it was a great help for us to get where we are. But my question of is, how are we going to respond? I know y'all can't respond now, but how are we going to respond when we have great people in our community that are doing memorable things and we have an opportunity to respond? Today, I recommend, and look here, I'm excited about it. I can't wait to see it happen. To see his name on the bridge, because guess what? His life was a bridge.
Larry Jordan.
Hi, Pat. All right,
How about that,
Lord have mercy.
George?
To Mayor Brown and this city board, I come for the same reason. When I thought about this, I always have to look to see what's going on before I get involved. And so I looked at the criteria for a bridge or highway to be named after a person. It says the individual must have provided extraordinary public service to the public and be associated with the community where the highway, street, or bypass is located. Well, I've been here for almost 30 years at the St. James Baptist Church. Pastor Lundell Church is about a few blocks over. And it was him in my times of struggle that gave me the best advice. I wouldn't have stayed 30 years if it hadn't been for him. I had to go to him in private, but he was there. Things we wanted done in the ward, around the church, old houses, standing in front of the church. Talked to Pastor about it. He said, let me handle it. He said, Jerry, now take care of it. And he did that. In front of our church now, it's clean, people can park. And all of that was because of Pastor Lundell Williams. And then I kept wanting to say that Pastor Williams was a person that pastored the church. For over 40 years, he was at the Park Avenue Baptist Church, preaching, teaching, serving, working. And so when I looked at it, I said, well, he's done some extraordinary stuff. Then he was a part of the Ozanne Baptist District Association. That's where Baptist churches unite together and do work of the ministry. I'm the moderator of that district now, but Pastor Lundell was a part of it. What I feel that he deserves, there's number one, because he was committed to the Lord, committed to his family, committed to the city, and committed to the people. And if you can find anybody that had done some extraordinary stuff, Pastor Lundell Williams has done it all. Thank you.
That's all I have at this time. Is there anyone else that wishes to address the board? Yes, sir. Just come forward, state your name.
How you doing, gentlemen? My name is, I'm the assistant minister over there at Park Avenue Baptist Church. I don't know Pastor Lundell personally, but I heard a lot about him in my little 5 years of being there. And I would recommend it, standing on behalf of our pastor, Pastor Boyd, the residing pastor that's there now. And he grew up in the church, and he was raised up in the church. And Pastor Lundell was his pastor. And so on behalf of the Park Avenue, you see Park Avenue pretty thick tonight to come representing. I stand and ask, that y'all would do it because of his sacrifice. He watched over souls. He prayed for people. In 40 years, that's a long time. He had longevity. And you can hear about the life and legacy. There's nothing more I can say about him, well spoken by the other gentleman that came and spoke. So I moved that y'all would put Pastor Lundell's name on that viaduct because this leads straight to the church, and he been an anchor for a lot of people in the community, and he still is. They still talk about him all over town. He still talked about. So he did something right. He did something right because he's being recognized today. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes. I have one right there.
Good evening to everyone and to the mayor. My name is Lundell Wimley. I am the oldest daughter of the late Reverend Lundell Williams. I am here and hoping and praying that you all will give my father that honor. But this evening, I want you to search your own heart. Have you ever done anything and regretted it later? Have you ever said some things that you knew were wrong to say, but you said it anyway? But you were sorry about it later. My dad was not a perfect man. He may have said some things that others didn't like. He may have done some things that weren't right. He might not have dotted every I and crossed every T. But if you had to be the judge of your own paper, and you had to write down all the wrongs in your life and compare it to all the right things you have done, I would hope and pray the rights outweigh the wrong. My dad did some right things for the city, for the people, the police department, for the church. I would request that you would allow our youth today to know the history. He accomplished a lot of firsts right here in the city of Texarkana. I don't know anyone else who has done what my father has done. And I'm just asking you, because there are many people that do not know, as far as young people, that don't even know who my father is. And I would ask that you would please grant him this honor. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Doris Block, and I am a member of Park Avenue Church. Grew up in there, but I also grew up about a mile and a half from the viaduct. My footprints are there. so many of us, we didn't have cars. A lot of people didn't have cars. When I was in junior high and high school, we walked. We walked over the viaduct on Sunday after church. We came down those stairs, and then you might find a body there, or you might find a broken bottle, or anything else there. But we still did it. We walked where we needed to go. Reverend Williams also was a member of that community, and wherever we had to go, he put Pat and Jenny in the road, and he did it too, just like walking to where he needed to go. This is a community made up of people that some feel rejected, but we don't feel rejected. We feel we're well represented. I've tried to call Mr. Harris to try and talk to him. I know him, I know his family, but I haven't been able to do so. But what I have to say now is that this is our community. Most of us grew up in this area. Whatever we had to do, we did it. We did it respectfully, and we want to be able to continue to do things like that now. The bridge is a beautiful thing compared to what that viaduct was. But we all trolled it. We did it. We walked it. You didn't have it as many fat people as you got now. Because everywhere we went, we walked. Everywhere we went, we walked. We had some people that had cars, and I can remember we were talking yesterday on Sunday on days when it was raining. You piled in a neighbor's car and it looked like a can of sardines. But they took us on as a community. And as this community, I'm asking that you will soften your hearts and understand what we're trying to do is to keep a good memory for the Arkansas side.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone wish to address any other matter in citizens' communication time? Okay. Seeing and hearing none, we'll move right on into our presentations. We have 3 presentations tonight, 3 proclamations that I will read and be presenting. Our first proclamation is going to be the National Historic Preservation Month for May 2023. Whereas the National Trust of the Historic Preservation established May as a Historic Preservation Month in 1973 as a way to promote historic places for the purpose of instilling nation and community pride, promoting heritage tourism, and showing the social and economic benefits of the historic preservation. And whereas Historic Preservation Month can instill awareness of the local historically significant buildings and landmarks to the residents of Texarkana and surrounding communities, and whereas historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for the Americans of all ages, all walks of life, and ethnic backgrounds, and where it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contributions made by dedicated individuals in helping to preserve the tangible aspects of heritage that has shaped us as a people. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Alan Brown, Mayor of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, do recognize the month of May 2023 as National Historic Preservation Month in the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, and urge all of our citizens to join in this special observance. It's signed by myself, Alan Brown, as Mayor. Our City Clerk, Heather Sawyers, is Ms. Beck here. I would like to present this at this time to actually our City Planner, Ms. Mary Beck.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Next, we'll have our City Clerks Week proclamation. City Clerks Week will be April the 30th to May 6th of 2023. Whereas the office of city clerk, a time-honored and vital part of our local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the city clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the city clerk provides a professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at all other levels, and whereas city clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all, and whereas city clerks serve as the information center on functions of local government and community, and whereas city clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the city clerk department through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and annual meetings of their state, provincial, and county, and the international professional organizations, and whereas it's the most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of our city clerk and our deputy city clerk, now therefore be it resolved that I, Alan Brown, Mayor of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, do recognize the week of April 30th through May 6th, 2023 as City Clerks Week in the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, and urge all our citizens to join in this appreciation to the City Clerk Department, to our City Clerk Department for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities that we represent. It's signed by myself and our City Clerk, Heather Sawyers, and I'll present this to Heather, I guess, at this time. Thank you very much for your service. Jim, thank you. Thank you. And our last proclamation is presented to the Texarkana Water Utilities Executive Director Gary Smith for National Drinking Water Week. National Drinking Water Week will be May 7th through May 13th, 2023. Whereas water is our most valuable natural resource, and whereas drinking water serves as a vital role in daily life, serving the essential purpose of health, hydration, and hygiene needs for quality of life for our citizens to enjoy, and whereas tap water delivers public health protection, fire protection, support for our economy, and quality of life we enjoy, and whereas the hard work performed by the entire water sector, designing capital projects, operators ensuring the safety and quality of drinking water, or a member of our pipe crew maintaining the infrastructure communities rely on to transport highly quality drinking water from its source to consumer taps. And whereas we are all stewards of the water infrastructure upon which current and future generations depend, and whereas the citizens of our city are called upon to help protect our source waters from pollution, practice water conservation, and get involved with their water by familiarizing themselves with it. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Alan Brown, Mayor of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, do hereby recognize the week May 7th through May 13th, 2023 as Drinking Water Week in the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, and urge our citizens to join in this celebration. It's signed by myself, Alan Brown, Mayor of City of Texarkana, Arkansas, and our clerk, Heather Sawyers, and I'll present it this time to our TWU Director, Mr. Gary Smith. And before I do that, I'm going to get a drink of water. Thank you for all the work y'all do. Thank you very much. Thanks, Moving right along, we'll move on to our agenda, to the consent agenda. Tonight we have 3 items on our consent agenda. Item number 4 is approval of the minutes of the special call meeting on April 17th. Item 5 is to adopt a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to enter into a construction contract with Phase 1 Concrete Incorporated for the purpose of building an American with Disabilities Act handicap ramp at the front north of the Bi-State Justice Center. Item number 6 is to adopt a resolution authorizing the acting city manager to enter into a contract with ACS Playground Adventures for the construction and installation of playground equipment at the Iron Mountain Park. What would be the desire of the board for the consent agenda?
I make a motion the consent agenda be approved as read.
Second.
So a motion and a second that the consent agenda be approved. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and the consent agenda carries. Moving right along, we'll move into our regular agenda. We have a couple of items on that tonight. Item number 7 is to adopt a resolution supporting a petition to the Arkansas Highway Department, RDOT, to name the Highway 71 South Viaduct to the Reverend Londell Williams Overpass. Ms. Beck.
Good evening, Mayor, Directors. We received a petition early in this year, I believe it's in January, from Ms. Dunn and Mr. Denman, as you heard speak earlier, requesting a, oh, I got the wrong notes. Just a second. Excuse me. A request for a resolution, well, for the Planning Commission to recommend a resolution to go to the Highway Department to rename this Highway 71 Viaduct. So the Planning Commission looked at the criteria. We heard some of it mentioned earlier, but the areas that the Highway Department looks at for a naming choice is the naming choice significant to the present or historic development of the community? And the present form of municipal government came about as a result of a legal action by Pastor Williams when the local election board had a system that was not representative of the community. And it wasn't something the city did, but it was something that the city needed to push to have corrected. And Reverend Williams did that. Another area is the petition for the naming suited to the location or the structure in particular. And the viaduct extends over an area that was served by and associated with Pastor Williams, where Ward 3 was at that time, and where he was located as a pastor in Ward 3. So that definitely was a part of the city that he was associated with, is something the Planning Commission also agreed with. Is the naming choice based on achievement that is a positive influence for local citizens or tourists to the city? And the response was the naming choice proposed represents actions taken by an individual and others in a peaceful, lawful manner in order to right unfair or illegal conditions and bring about needed changes. The next criteria: what documentation supports the petition? And you have in your packets copies of the court order, I believe, from the legal actions, and numerous petitions that were signed in support of this petition. There were over 300 and something signatories to the petitions. Has the petition been vetted through current policies or required procedures? And it has been. With that review, the Planning Commission, where everyone present was absolutely in support of it. We had two absent, but they do ask that you consider a resolution to the Highway Department to rename the structure.
And the process for the board, once we vote tonight to either support or not support this resolution, that will then be forwarded by the Planning Department to the Highway Commission, Highway Department. And then the Highway Department has the final say-so and will notify us in some type of written format? I'm not familiar with the process, that's why I'm asking.
I believe that Mr. Denman and Ms. Dunn would take that petition, take the resolution from the city to the highway department and file for a name. And that resolution would be their verification that the city.
Approved by the city.
Yes, sir.
Is that your understanding, Joe, or, you familiar with that process, that you would deliver the resolution, or?
I'm not familiar with that project, but I will make myself familiar.
Okay.
Mayor Brown?
Yes, ma'am.
I was under the impression that once you guys vote on it and if approved, that the city would forward it to the highway department. After talking to Jay, you know, that's just what I got out of it, but we'll check and
We
see.
can check it out and see.
We'll take whatever steps are
Yes.
required.
All right. Anyone else have any questions for Ms. Beck? No questions for Ms. Beck. Okay, the floor is open for discussion from the board.
I am gonna say something, I'm just gonna wait first, see if anybody else wants to say anything.
All right, Director Rocker.
Well, I've been on the board since January 1st, 2021, and I can tell you why and why not I have voted for everything I have voted for. I research everything because I'm accountable. I mean, and I have contacted so many people about this. I've had people contact me. And I talked to a gentleman today that truly made my mind up for me. And, you know, we all make mistakes every day. And it's not what you did, it's what you do after that mistake. And, Lord, if the Lord held me accountable right now and I didn't have his grace of forgiveness, I'd be in a mess. But, I said it was, I want to do what is right by the citizens, and that's what I was put up here to do. And after everyone that I talked to, and I didn't see if the gentleman came in or not that I talked to, but when I asked him, I said, give me your opinion. And we talked for a little bit, and he said, what did he do afterwards? Did you ask for forgiveness? Did you move forward? So I will be supporting this tonight.
Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, Mayor.
Director Hafford? Yes.
Yeah, I served on the board with Reverend Williams for several years, and I noticed on here that several accomplishments that he achieved as part of the board was, of course, being the mayor and getting the zip code for our area. One of the things that wasn't mentioned, that he joined with me as we when I was elected to the board for the citizens communications tonight that several of you spoke. That was not a part of the prior board, and he joined with me. So I think we all owe him gratitude for that, for the privilege to speak to the board, because in the early 90s, if you were not on the agenda, you would not have the privilege to speak to this board prior to all of that. So I will be supporting that because I was his assistant mayor for those years on that board, and I considered him a friend. So you can put me down as supporting this resolution.
Yes, I had the privilege of meeting Reverend Williams each time I came back from Iraq. I deployed 4 times when I was active duty, and he always had positive things to say about what he was hoping for the community to grow. And I always took those positives and had a great positive outlook about what's to come in the future. And I can say this right here, it's no coincidence now I'm here after having all those conversations with him. Thank you.
Stephen, same thing.
Yes. So I'm the city director for Ward 3, which was Londell's ward. Unfortunately, I never got to meet Londell. but I have met Pastor Boyd over Park Avenue. I've had the privilege of attending services and speaking to the congregation there as well. Met his children and met many people that have been inspired by the work that he did. And I will say that it takes 4 votes to get this resolution passed, so I will be the 4th person to say that I will support it.
I know that Director Harris has some comments that he wants to make, and I would just make a couple. One being is that, you know, I'm kind of a real detailed type person, and the negative thing that I would say is when we get in situations like this, when we're naming stuff as us as board of directors, our city staff, we're the ones that have to certainly, above all, bless this so this can go to the highway department. And that's not guaranteeing that the highway department is going to approve this particular thing, but we have to bless that. I think there are some, and this is a prime example for something is that I have vetted very extensively through the petitions, through everything that has been over in the mayor's office for quite some time and trying to get this approved. And, you know, there's some loopholes and some things that we do at the city that we need to try to make better, and this could be one of them. And what I mean by that is you have situations where you have someone that served almost 40 years. I've served 4 years and 4 months, and I'm wore out. So I can imagine what somebody would feel like for serving as mayor and as a council member for almost 4 decades, and the things that he accomplished. And we ought to try to make things, as a city as a whole, we ought to make things to where they're shoe-ins, that we don't have to go through processes like this to do it. But there are lines to be drawn, because there's not enough things in the city to name after everybody that really has accomplished a lot for the city that we might all disagree that deserves something named after them. So you have to kind of balance in between the two. So I want to continue to, you know, work with the board and our city staff to make sure that we can fine tune our process so that when we have people coming forward in the future that we can do what's right. And do something to honor them for the sacrifices they've made to the city. And I will be supporting that resolution tonight.
Go ahead.
No, I just want to add one thing to that. I was fortunate enough to graduate high school with Rico and Nikki, who's somewhere back there, class of 90. There you go. But sometimes I think the board, which potholes, Lord, we all know about potholes. And that's what I get calls about. And sometimes we are only as good as the people we represent. And reaching out over these past few weeks and talking to people that I needed help with. And sometimes when a board member calls you, pick up that phone, because I'm far from perfect, but I can understand different perspectives when it's explained to me. And I really appreciate those that are here that took my calls over the past couple of weeks and helped me come to this decision to move our city forward. Thank you.
Director Harris.
And it's by not choice that I was singled out during the sales communication time, when I was singled out as Mr. Harris didn't get a phone call. No, I ain't gonna say I never got the phone call or what, but I wasn't for this from the start, and I'm still not for this. And let me tell you the reason why. Because, you know, and I know that I'm trying to bring some fairness in this process. What I mean by fairness is that 2 years ago, we voted the park, Hobo Jungle Park, after the name of a person of color. Okay. And so what did that have to do with that, like Mr. Harris, or how you say? Well, there's a petition going now as to rename the rec center after a person of color. So, and that's gonna be maybe coming up here before that. And when I brought this to the city manager back last year, that he said there was gonna be a workshop, because the name I was bringing wasn't Lundell Williams, of course. And the name, it wasn't him. And then when this first was brought up to me, by, I don't want to call his name because he gonna say, when I call his name during the planning commission, you know, he got upset. But when I was first asked about this, I said, well, could y'all find something in his ward to name after him? Because there's something over 15th Street you can name after him. I didn't get no response. I said, when there's a park over there on 15th Street. Now, they even talk about, he brought up about the swimming pool, which that's another issue that I wish I can get this much support about the swimming pool on about how it needs to be refurbished and redone somewhere down the line. When I posted this out on Facebook, I didn't get no one to show up, but I'm not trying to really chastise a person. But what I'm trying to say is this here, is that in naming of the building, that it is Ward 2, all Ward 2 just gonna be named after buildings and process gonna be named after person of color. That's when I said what about the fairness process. Then I was explaining, do you feel any type of pressure in not supporting this when you represent the most underserved? I said I represent the most underserved people in this community. I don't think people are gonna be that shallow, you know, meaning that and I'd say I don't agree with everything. I hope nobody don't agree with everything about me. Then I did go before the planning commission, and Boat Thomas was gonna make a recommendation because, see, technically it was 2 names supposed to have came up before this board here. And the 2 names supposed to have came up, then this board was supposed to have a workshop with the city manager at that time. Then out of that workshop, then one name was going for. Now that was told by me. Now the city manager is not here to confirm that or not confirm that. And so, but I know that's supposed to have been a workshop. Then the next thing I know, this was before the planning commission. And then when I went there, they said that they were gonna wait till the board disposed of that before any other thing could be done. But and I'm going, well, if I say that, I know I'm not gonna say nothing about him because I'm not trying to turn somebody's name that's dead and gone. So there's nothing I can do to say about that.
That's probably a good idea. Yeah.
Well, I am gonna say this here, no black person has never been elected mayor in the city of Texarkana, Arkansas. I am gonna say that, so I'm gonna leave it at that. And then, no black person has never been elected mayor. Now, there's a difference between appointed mayor and elected mayor. But
This is Director Harris's floor.
it's my floor, so, and then I was on the I was on the MPO meeting at the time of this, came up. And then, this job was let by redoing of the planning of the bridge back in 2013. And then it was completed in the 3rd, the 5th of 2016. And then the highway department accepted it the 6th, the 16th, the 2016. And the reason why I'm bringing that up, there's a state law saying that 25-1-121. And then the reason I brought that up, that do the city have to wait 10 years before this process could proceed forward? Because 10 years, if based on the completion date, it was 2020, was in 2016. It wasn't the let day, the completion day was the 3rd, 15th, 2016. The job was accepted by the highway department was the 6th, the 16th, the 2016. And then I'm gonna end with this here because I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack for not going along with this. And I'm gonna stand up for what I believe in. And I'm gonna say this too. The measure of a man is not where he stands in time and convenience comfort, it's where he stands in time with challenge and controversy. So, and I'm gonna stand by not supporting this, and I wasn't gonna support this when it was first brought, and my mind has not been changed on this issue. And thank you.
Any other? Is there any other board discussion?
Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to, Director Harris brought up the thing about the 10-year. You know, are we clear on that? I'd like to ask the city attorney. I kind of,
Section 25, 1.21, I believe it's in y'all's packet, the naming of public buildings, structures, airports, or facilities. And it says a building structure, obviously this is a structure, paid for in whole or in part with public funds shall be named for an individual living at the time of completion of the building, structure, or facility who, in the 10 years preceding the construction of the public building, structure, or facility, was elected by qualified electors to a federal, state, county, municipal office, and received a salary for that. Yes, in long story short, this is legal and according to
that
statute.
qualifier in there with "and" means that we don't have to worry about that.
Any other discussion? Any other discussion? If not, we'd instruct the city attorney to read the resolution.
Whereas the Planning Commission received a request to name the Highway 71 South Viaduct Reverend Londell Williams Overpass to honor the elected official and community activist for his impact on local government. And whereas the Planning Commission met on February 13th, 2023 to review the request, and the request was approved 5-0 with 2 commissioners absent. And whereas the Arkansas Highway Department of Transportation requires the support of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas Board of Directors to consider naming the viaduct, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the City of Texarkana, Arkansas, that the Board of Directors support a request being made to the Arkansas Highway Department for the Highway 71 South Viaduct to be named Reverend Londell Williams Overpass, passed and approved this first day of May 2023.
City attorney's read the resolution. City attorney's read the resolution. Quiet. Give me a break here. We're trying to vote. City
Motion to
attorney's
adopt.
read the resolution. What would be the desire of the board?
Motion to adopt resolution supporting the overpass.
And second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Jewell,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
No.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes, and the resolution passes. One side note, if you're interested, we have one other item on the agenda. We have board commentary, and we have a brief executive session. We have this resolution present with the authority invested in me as mayor. I will sign that tonight if you're wanting to, if you'll stay. If you are interested in staying afterwards, I'll get that signed just as soon as the meeting's over. You're welcome to come back in after our executive session. We have some committee appointments we need to do tonight, but I will sign that tonight if you're interested. All right. Moving right along to item number 8. Is to adopt an ordinance to rezone a tract of land located in the 6200 block of Thomasville Lane from R1 rural residential to R3 low density residential in order to build a single family dwelling. Ms. Beck. Mary, let's give him a few minutes to clear out. Hey, Billy. If you could just get them out for me real quick so we got a couple of things we need to do. We can't hear.
Y'all need a mint down there?
Does anyone need the elevator to get down?
You got one?
Come this way.
I had to be in this meeting because Londell is a very close friend of mine. And he did real good for us. Yes, he did. He did a lot of good.
Do y'all need it again? She got
That's yours. This is the archives. You can sign that. Good result.
Well, that's an old elevator, bless his heart.
We're kind of back to our regular level now.
Yes, go right ahead.
Yes, sir. Christine and David Thomas, who are in the audience, they own this property. This is off from Highway 67. This is Thomasville Lane here. And it's family property that is just basically where when they get ready to retire or have some time to do the things they like to do, they build their house and go on. So the property was split up along this Thomasville Lane, and there wasn't a lot of frontage to it. Matter of fact, there was not enough frontage for an R1 zone. So in order for them to construct anything on that, we needed to have a rezoning. And that's what's going on tonight. It sounds like it's a little technical, and sometimes it's like, well, why does the city do this? But normally, when you have a large piece of property and you're looking to the future, you want to make sure that you have enough access where if a road needs to be built at some time, you have a way to do that. So it seems like a technicality and a lot of paperwork to do this, but it really, it's just the way that our regulation function, and there's a good reason for them being that way. So this is a vacant property. It's surrounded by the R1 zoning. There's some vacant property adjacent to it. There's single family, their family adjacent to it. And there weren't any complications as far as that goes. It doesn't have the city water and sewer, so it'll be a rural well and septic system. And we didn't have any objections, and the Thomases are here if you have any questions for them. And I'll be glad to answer.
Does anybody
your
have any
questions.
questions for Ms. Beck?
How soon are they expecting to build?
Within the year.
Within the year?
Yes, sir.
Bless you with the price of lumber.
So the rezoning is, Mary,
Yes,
the
sir.
rezoning is basically because of the road frontage issue? Is
Yes.
that the, okay.
Exactly. It's got like, is it 65 feet?
65.
So, the minimum for zoning is like 50 feet. So that'll take care of that.
But a big driveway.
Any other discussion? Remind the board, this is an ordinance to pass tonight. It would need to be read 3 times tonight. What would be the desire of the board to have it read on its first reading?
First reading, abbreviated form.
Second.
So have a motion and a second to have it read on its first reading. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Jewell,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K-286 as amended and for other purposes.
Ordinance has been read on its first reading. What would be the desire to have it read on its second reading?
Second reading, abbreviated form, please.
Second.
Let's have a motion and a second to have it read on its second reading. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Jewell,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K-286 as amended and for other purposes.
So ordinance has been read on its second reading. What would be the desire of the board to have it read on its third and final reading?
Third reading, abbreviated form.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to have the ordinance read on its third and final reading. Any other discussion? Could you call the roll?
Jewell,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
An ordinance amending ordinance number K-286 as amended and for other purposes.
Ordinance has been read on its third and final reading. What would be the desire of the board to adopt?
Motion to adopt the ordinance.
So I have a motion and a second to adopt. Prior to the board voting to adopt, is there anyone here wishing to speak for or against this particular ordinance? Seeing and hearing none, could you call the roll?
Jewell,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hollabush,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes, and the ordinance passes. Moving right along to our board commentary. Any board member wish to address the board tonight?
I guess
Yes, sir.
I noticed that a street sweeper been coming over in College Hill area now, but I really don't see any making a dent when you got dirt piled up 2 and 3 inches high. So I had put in a request in the past for them to go and clean up the dirt on the sidewalk. But my thing is, until you get the sidewalk clean, the build up of the years of neglect of the with dirt and grass and all that, I think street sweeper, in my opinion, is probably a waste of time. And then my question, how will you go about, like I said, I'd have put request in and I'd have named the streets. How will you get Public Works to come through and remove the settlement of the dirt and the grass? They were just on, what street was that? I can't think of the street. They was on, well, I can see they've been going around in different parts of College Hill area. But you can tell areas that they've been there, they pushed a little dirt on the side, but the dirt still packed up this high. So my question is, how would you get Public Works to come through there? I'd have made 2 requests, I'd have named the streets, but how would you get them to come and remove the dirt? And once they remove the dirt in the street, I think it'd be a good opportunity and great having street sweeper coming through. And that's it.
Any other board member want to address the board tonight?
Yeah, this is probably for Tyler. I think I mentioned to you, I got a call from a resident by the trailhead on the, off of Arkansas Boulevard, and that's designated as a park, right? Versus, are you familiar, Mr. Hollins, I think, is there any way that could be designated as something else other than a park to address the issue of noise and that type of thing?
Is this the guy on Arkansas Boulevard where you pull off there parking?
Yes.
Up from my office on
Yes.
Millway?
Right.
We've already, I know we put the signs and stuff back up there, but we had some other things come up a while back.
But that's still just like a park where a person, I mean, I could go there and pop my top on my Dr. Pepper and turn my music up during the daytime, just like any other park, right? It's under the control as a park, right? That's not a parking lot. I mean, there's nobody that can be, the police can't come out there and say, hey, you can't do that. Well, why can't that be looked as just part of the trail instead of a park? My understanding is that's considered a park, not a trail.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's officially designated a park.
Yeah, I don't either. I know in our research, this has come up before a few months ago, and
Yes.
we went out there and put up the different signs, and we
Well,
were
it just-
discussing
it just-
closing it, and
Well, it just says the park's open from 10 to, 6 to 11. There's no kind of restrictions on noise
so
or
it's-
anything like that, and
It's
so
the
what-
same as any other area of the city.
Okay, what-
Except our parks have special rules to them, like they're open during certain times. I want to say, was it 10 or 11 o'clock it's supposed to close or something like that?
Okay.
But as far as noise goes, there's noise ordinances that the police regulate. And as far as the noise goes, it would be the same with any other area of the city, whether it's a park or not.
I know at that time, Bobby Jordan went out, was the interim chief at that time. He actually went out and met with him. And we are patrolling that and doing some different things. I haven't, he's always usually called me and I've not heard from him. But we made some modifications out there that I'm aware of, but I don't know about anything about the city maintaining that as a park. It's just a parking lot that people use for that trail, but, we fixed the signs and we've done a number of things and we are patrolling that area, but.
Well, the complaint I got was that people were using it as a park, like they were coming and turning the music up and that type of thing.
Yes, that's what I understand as well.
Yes, so what is that to be looked at any different than, say, the parking lot behind City Hall, where city vehicles are parked? I mean, what kind of restrictions apply to that? Can't those same restrictions be applied to that?
Yeah, I believe, now, I'm not over parks. That's not in my department. But, I mean, y'all could place whatever regulations you wanted if you wanted to bring.
Are there any existing, like, what's restrictions back here right behind City Hall?
It would be the normal noise ordinances. I
Can a
believe
person-
it's
what time do they
55.
What time do they have to vacate back here?
They don't.
They don't, all night long?
No, I don't believe so, no, sir.
Okay, all right, well, I'll do some, check.
Yeah, but it would be the same noise ordinance as anywhere else. I believe that's 55 decibels.
I would
could be wrong.
contact Bobby, and I'll talk to him this week, but Bobby did all the research, Bobby Jordan did all the research stuff on that, and he's been by there 2 or 3 times to talk with him. And I know we fixed those signs, and we can enforce noise, and we can enforce curfew, we can enforce a number of things there for underage.
So it is not a park, it's never been deemed a park?
I don't believe it is officially a park, no, sir. But, I mean, it is maintained by the Parks Department as part of the trail.
Maybe that's where he was, the individual was thinking it was, looked at as a park. Okay, well,
yeah.
All right, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
While he's there, could he answer my question about what I?
I'm not fully understanding what you're
You
saying.
got dirt and sediment and grass on the curbs there.
On the curbs? In
I
the
put
gutter?
a request asking you to come and clean different
Yes,
curbs
and
in
we're
different streets.
working
And
through all of our requests right now.
Okay, and my comment was that with the street sweeper coming through, it's not really hitting a dent when you got years of neglect, when you got dirt and grass 2 and 3 inches high.
Yes, it
And
takes
when-
several passes to get all that.
So, but I'm just saying, are you gonna come through and clean and remove the dirt and the grass?
I'm not understanding. Are you saying that it's still left there
It's
after the
still left
street,
there. I took
after
some
the streets?
pictures. I send you some pictures. I've been sending you and Tyronda, a city manager, pictures of things, and I've been sending you pictures, cause sometimes you act like you don't know what I'm
Well,
talking
Director
about,
Harris,
'cause I send
I've talked to Tyler about your request. He's working through your list, so we're just working through those progress, and we'll be sure to give you an update as it comes along.
That's why I started sending pictures.
It takes several passes of that street sweeper after they've been neglected for so long. We haven't had a street sweeper in 20 years. So, yeah, it takes several passes with that sweeper to get all that junk up.
Well, Tyler, I will say this, they did a great job in my ward.
Thank you.
They, everything they scooped up, they came back and pushed onto the bucket.
Yeah, with the amount that's in the gutters right now on a lot of the stuff, the machine won't vacuum it up because there's so much. So we have to make those several passes, and And sometimes we have to leave a pile behind to come back afterwards and scoop that up. But we do have somebody going behind and scooping that up as well.
Keep us on the list.
Will do.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other board commentary? Our next meeting date will be Monday, May 15th. At this time, we would excuse all guests, and we have a brief executive session to consider appointments to various boards and commissions.